Welcome to another episode of Dying with Diabetes in America. Of course, I am Michelle Robinson, and I'm here with my co-host, the one, the only, Mike Hurley.
Yeah, and as we found out last week, easily replaceable. Like, honestly, just so simple. I had a gig last Tuesday. I couldn't be here, couldn't participate, and Daniel from, of course,
Dead Pancreas
Society jumped in, and no one missed me at all. It's like, it was perfect. I listened to it while I was editing it. He did a great job, and yeah, I'd like to have him on the show more often. Because I've been texting him, and we've talked about the direction of the show, and I'm sorry that you're finding out this way, but we figure you're the dead weight. You are the dead pancreas of our trio. So no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I thought you guys had a great chemistry. Not anything. There's a lot of things that work with you guys, not your organs, but like everything else. Made for a good chemistry with
It was very much a kindred spirit. I mean,
Yeah.
It really much feels like that. So I love him. And
I'll probably just play that episode at one of your eulogies. So
thank you.
Yeah. So,
now, don't forget, you promised you would be the Grim Reaper.
yes, at your funeral, I'm going to dress in a spirit Halloween Grim Reaper costume and come running through the cemetery. Yes.
And you're also going to play the Mario theme when he dies from Super Mario.
And while I'm running, I'll be like, boop, 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 boop,
yes.
Yes.
I love
Okay.
it. All right.
But we digress because we have an awesome show tonight with a very cool guest. You've been super excited all week about this guest. So why don't you tell me a little bit about her and bring her in?
Well, she is a really cool gal that I actually met through the Dead Pancreas Society.
Heck yeah.
And she's very, very funny. And I'm going to say her name. I'm going to try to say her name. I haven't had a failure yet. So I am so sorry if this is one. But okay. Lalay Neshan-Seeley.
I think that's pretty darn close, but
Oh my
we
God,
will
let's
get
bring
it
her in.
directly from her. Let's find out. Hey.
Yes.
Sweet.
Okay. Now, just for the listeners, I'm seeing your little name pop up on the bottom there, and it's spelled Lalay. So I would be like Lalay, feeling like some weird random French guy really trying to overpronunciate it. And you said it's closer to like lolly, like lollipop.
It's actually technically supposed to be spelled Laleh, but
okay, Lalay, yeah.
Now you get it.
But my parents figured. Well, I was born in South Carolina, so that should give you a little insight. They figured that the people around those parts would have an easier time with Lalay than I don't know.
Now, what is the origin? Like it sounds like a little bit like just the lay part, and the little I know about anything. Is it Hawaiian, perhaps? Like Leigh, or where does it? Is it a family name? What's going on with it?
Actually, my dad is Iranian.
Oh, okay.
100% Iranian.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually Farsi.
Oh, okay.
It means tulip.
That was my second guess, Hawaiian or Farsi. I was like right on the cusp, because they've always said, like, how many restaurants you go to that has the Hawaiian Iranian menu right there?
Definitely, like 12.
Hawaiian, Iranian. It's the same thing without the roasted pig and the hula skirt. There you go.
I mean, they do sort of belly dance, but in both cultures. So.
I am. Thank you, Lalay.
Don't help.
No,
me.
encourage me, please. Encourage me, do, because God knows I don't get any from my family. Okay. So, where are you coming from right now, Lalay?
I am currently in Phoenix, Arizona. We are moving next week to Michigan.
Oh, that's a big jump.
Oh,
that's a big jump.
Yeah, I'm going from hell to the other side of hell.
Yeah, you're going
the
from
colder side of hell.
Yeah,
exactly. Now, the frozen over side.
I had a friend who did some construction in Arizona, and he was only out there for like 6 months, and he's like, "Dude, it's crazy out here. It's like ridiculous. There's like weird laws." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like it's illegal if you see someone walking and it looks like they need water, you need to stop and give them water or something like that. Did you hear anything like that?
I don't know if it's like that per se, but it is illegal for any like gas station or restaurant to deny water.
Oh, okay.
So, like, a lot of places say, oh, well, you have to pay for that cup.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, like, if somebody comes in, especially like a homeless person comes in and says, hey, I need some water. Well, they actually have special cups at the gas stations to give for the water.
Oh,
So,
wow.
they're not allowed to charge for those.
Well,
Florida.
in
We
Florida,
won't give you anything. We'll give you a kick in the ass while we get you out the door. But that's
in Florida, if you're a woman, you're technically not supposed to go parachuting on Sundays. I don't know how that made it into the law book. Yeah, Florida's got weird rules, man. Like Florida has in their book that you're not allowed to have sex with a porcupine. That's on the books. Which, do you realize? By saying you're not allowed to have sex with a porcupine, you're basically saying sex with everything else is okay.
Yeah.
It's the porcupines.
No, that means Florida man tried it and got his member punctured off. And they were like, we need to make that a law.
You ever get your pricked by a prick when you're pricking? No more porcupines. And there was 47% who voted for the porcupine thing. They're like, come on, man.
Well, come on, it was Florida. Who knows? We can't.
Man.
And they are Republicans. Okay, so moving forward, you're moving to Michigan.
Yes.
You were born in North Carolina with a fully Iranian father, and your mother is...
Oh, my mom is Hawaiian Irish.
Bam! There it is.
Okay, yeah.
That's why I wasn't exactly correcting him, because he wasn't exactly wrong with me.
All right, come on, Michelle, say it. Genius. Just say it. Genius. Okay. Yes, everybody that's not a genius, that's our other name. Sure.
I am more or less a mutt. So
I like mixed breed is what we go with. Mutt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, mutt.
Yes.
Irish, Italian, French, Cherokee. I only bring the Cherokee up when I'm in the casinos. I'm like, come on, guys. Come on, guys. I'm one of you. Just spot me 20. All right.
I'm just saying, my husband's mom could live on a reservation with as much Native American that they have in their family.
Oh, really?
He couldn't because she didn't hook up with an Indian, or a Native American, rather. Sorry, a Native American. So he's just under the percentage, because that's got to be a certain percent of your DNA, and she could trace 16th. It back. Is it a 16th?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, a 16th. As long as you know the tribe that you came from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
they can go all the way weird back, but I mean.
Yeah. I just brought in an album cover from the Village People. I'm like, that's my dad right there. How can I not get free breakfast at the bar?
Notice?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, all right. So what made you go from North Carolina, Arizona? Was it love?
Well,
always.
Oh my goodness. It is sometimes. Yes. But it was actually South Carolina. But the two are basically the same thing, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah.
One's a little bit more hick than the other.
Yeah.
But it's okay. My mom originated in Arizona and moved to South Carolina in the 80s, met my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So then and that was a big thing because like back in the 80s, well, and even today, Iranian people are looked at like,
the normal people are still assholes and bigoted. So, I mean.
Well, I'm either looked at because, oh, you look like you're Mexican, or I'm like, oh, you look like you're like Middle Eastern. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
And I was going to say, some of the states you've picked, like if you were living in New York or LA or Miami, maybe not a big deal. But it seems like you took your name and your skin tone and said, where would it be? I want to know I'm getting by just on my brain and not my looks alone. Place. Where can I go to make it the most difficult for me to live my life? So kudos to you for never taking the easy way out. I like it.
I don't like the easy way.
No, it's too easy. No. So how old were you when you were first diagnosed with diabetes?
It was July of 1994. So I turned 5 in June of 1994. So yeah. So Barely
No,
5.
I mean, I make the sad face for you. I'm not going to lie, but also because I'm like 1994. You're 5.
I
Yep.
know.
So
I'm a
old.
baby. I'm a baby.
So old.
My birthday is 6, 7, 8, 9.
That's great.
Hey, my husband has no excuse to forget.
Exactly. No, that's all on him.
And yet, does he? Does he?
Actually, no, he doesn't. But one year he got me a salad spritzer.
Did you throw it at him?
I was so mad. I'm like, where's that receipt?
He's like,
I
babe,
took it.
babe, don't you remember? Like last month, we were having fillets and salad, and you're like, I wish the salad was a bit spritzier. And I wrote it down. I wrote it down at when you went to do the dishes, like a good wife. I wrote down spritzier salads. Then I went on Google and I found this one, and it wasn't the color I knew you'd want. So I found another one, and it's used, but it's in good condition. And now we can have the spritzier salads. And you don't think I listen to you? Ugh. Why'd I marry you?
Just remember whatever excuse he did give you of like, I wanted to be nice, so that he doesn't try to use Mike's excuse. No.
Fine.
It was something along those lines, honestly. It's like, oh, you like salads. And, I thought maybe this would make eating salads more fun or, something like that. And I'm like, but why would this be a birthday present?
Well, because I'm saving the forks for the anniversary. Jesus. They're salad forks. They got 3 tongs. That's how you know.
We actually have a salad spinner.
I'm not gonna lie. There are times that, like, I sit there and I like have to dry that crap.
So diagnosed 1994.
5 years old.
5 years old.
There's no hate in my heart.
I'm thinking back to me at 5 years old, and I try to remember things at 5 years old. So basically, for all your cognitive life, that you've just had diabetes. Like, did you know you were different from the other kids, or did you just assume?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I remember bits and pieces of my childhood from before.
Right.
But I really remember, this one moment because it became such a poignant moment in my life. But we went to a family. What's it called? I lost the word.
Reunion type thing?
Yes, reunion.
Okay.
Yeah, reunion.
It's from the Jersey. Iranian Hawaiian for reunite.
So,
you're such a moron. All right. So yes, you anyway, a family reunion.
Yeah, and so my mom was actually adopted, so she didn't know a ton about her family history.
Right.
But so while we were up in the Jersey, her second cousin or whatever she was, her kid was the same age as me. And we were acting the same, but we were both overly drinking, overly eating, overly just all over the place, overly going to the bathroom. It was just, they were both like, wow, well, maybe it is just a phase like the doctors are saying, or, because it went on for a few months, I want to say.
Yeah. And I mean, knowing as we do the different symptoms that you can get when you are experiencing that, I mean, it's your body going, oh my God, help me. And it's got to be hard though. You're 5. It's like if you're running around, you expect, of course, you're going to want to drink a lot. And then, of course, it's going to make you have to pee a lot. I mean, it had to be incredibly hard. So what was
Was it a regular checkup that they finally took you in, or did they find you sweating and passed out? What happened to make them go, okay, this isn't a normal 5-year-old issue?
So that happened like 4th of July weekend. So, and both of them were like kind of going back and forth, like, okay, well, maybe there is something wrong. And so that next week, my mom took me to the doctor and was like, they're like, oh, it's a bladder infection, and gave me medicine. Then, a little bit of time went on and my mom had a dream, and she said, like, the way that she described it was that it was this like really scary big being with her. She said it was an angel, but I don't know. And she said that they were talking, and the angel showed her me in a casket and said that you need to get this, dealt with.
Wow.
So Yeah. And, and I've recently talked to my mom about this too, because I'm very curious about like what happened, especially now that I'm a parent. It's like, what do I need to look for in my kids?
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, she said that what really got her was I started wetting the bed. And
out of nowhere.
She said that I was potty trained by 18 months. So all of a sudden, like, and I was getting up in the middle of the night to drink water and, just a lot of stuff that was pointing to there's something wrong. But the doctors were saying that, oh, she's just going through a phase. It's a bladder infection. Then it was a kidney infection. Then it was a behavioral issue.
Not for nothing. It's like 1994, and it sounds like you have the worst possible doctors. Like the stories you're telling us, we've talked to people who were diagnosed in the 1950s, and they had issues. But the way you're explaining it, it sounds like you went to the one doctor who thought that in 1994 diabetes was just a fad. No, that's not real science. It sounds like bladder infection, kidney infection, when he's not looking at all of these point directly to diabetes.
They weren't testing, they weren't testing my blood. They weren't like, I don't know what they were doing exactly. But my mom said that finally the day after that dream, she took me to the doctor. And I hadn't even been seeing my regular pediatrician at the time because he was on vacation. So these were other doctors at the practice.
Right.
So that particular day, she's like, I refuse to leave. And they're like, we're going to call the cops. And
you go ahead and do that.
My mom is about 6 feet tall, has blazing red hair, and is like a G chest. So think about that. Like,
I'm sorry. All I can think of is Peg Bundy right now. I'm not going to lie. Like that's what first came in my head. And I'm like, I would cower too.
She's Peg Bundy, except like more like what the role that she played in Sons of Anarchy.
Nice.
See, I went the other way because I still got the Y in my head, so I just thought like a female version of like Maui from Moana, with like a big. But instead of a hook,
the volcano
she's got like a crowbar. She's like, my daughter is not leaving here until she's better.
My mom is a beast, and I love her.
That's awesome.
That's anytime I try to think of like what I need to be in a situation, I think of that. My mama bear mom. So. Anyway, my doctor happened to be in the office, like checking something that day, and heard all the commotion and was like, what's going on? And she explained, and he's like, well, didn't you say you were adopted? And he's like, there's certain, whatever.
Genetic diseases.
Yeah. So he was like, and didn't you say that you thought you were Hawaiian? And she was like, yeah, but we don't really know because the records were sealed or something. And so the doctor's like, okay, let's just check her blood sugar.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't register on their machine. So
wow.
That's never a good sign.
So they're like, okay, get her to the hospital right now. And I don't really remember much after that. I remember showing up at the hospital, all the nurses being there, like with those concerned looks, and then getting hooked up to a million things.
Now, when blood sugar doesn't show up on like a monitor, does that mean it's too low or it's too high? Like, is it just throwing the computer off?
Either, actually.
It really could be. Nowadays, they say like high or low, and you just know what they benchmark at. Okay. So it's like 600. Would that be right, Lalay?
Yeah. Most machines are 600. I think theirs, my mom said, was like 700.
Oh wow!
So they knew it was over 700. So then at the hospital, my mom said it was like, she said that it was like 9 something. So
wow.
I've been meaning to actually contact the hospital to get my records. So I know all of that because I don't actually know the exact date. I know it was mid-July. So I guess like around the 14th.
Yeah. I'm with you there, and unfortunately, the place where I got diagnosed, they closed down, and so, like, I know it was December, I know it was 1999. How much further, I have no idea, but it it is nice, like, when you see people celebrating their diaversaries, the anniversary of the date they got diagnosed, and it's a lot of people find it very, very freeing. Because they like, okay, this was my world before it changed. So, I mean, okay, so you were 5 going in there, and then, I mean, how how did how did everything go? How did everything go is kind of a stupid question, but, like, I know my parents were a big into denial, like, they did everything they could to help me, but we just didn't talk about it at all. So,
Yeah.
how was your, like, support system?
So
Because 'Cause you're so young.
my parents, like, it basically, I'm not wanting to say that it split them up. They were already, like, in that direction, but they did actually split up after my diagnosis.
Gotcha.
So after I got released from the hospital, my dad, not that long later, moved into an apartment, and, then my world changed. But,
Yeah.
my mom, she was already diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
So she basically was like, okay, I've got an autoimmune disease. My daughter's got an autoimmune disease. Let's embrace it. And let's, okay, what do I need to know? What do I need to do? And my dad was the complete opposite. He blamed God. He blamed everyone else. And then he refused to learn any of the things he needed to learn to take care of me.
Really?
So I wasn't able to leave the hospital until there was another adult that was caring for me.
Because of your mother's condition, they needed someone else that was able to.
Well, the hospital said that I needed 2 adults to supervise,
Oh, wow.
so that way I was always, because of how young I was, I think.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't
Mhm.
know all the details, but my mom said that's, the hospital refused to let me leave until another adult learned how to give me injections and check my sugar and the signs of hypoglycemia.
Mhm.
So
I can honestly say that I could see that completely because of your age. It's not even like giving a preteen this information. So
Yeah.
you have your mom who's like, "Hey, I'm here. I'll learn it." Your dad
Mm.
who's like, "No." Well, they're going to worry about the time that you're with your dad and him not taking care of it. Because I
mhm.
mean, my dad wouldn't talk to me about it. He'd stab me in the arm with a needle, though, because I got to the point I couldn't do needles anymore. It was stupid.
Mm,
But
yeah, I
did
been
you go
there.
through that too?
Yeah,
It's good times. It was good times. But he'd
so
stab
much
me.
fun.
But he'd always pinch my muscle and stab it right into my muscle, so I'd have these huge bruises
Mhm.
all up
So
and
Did
down
you
my
get the
he
welts
arms.
too?
he like
Yes.
grab a chunk of flesh and just squeeze it like he was popping a pimple, and then put the needle
Exactly,
in.
and just bam, because he told me, "Michelle, if I do that, it's gonna hurt less when the needle goes in because 'cause I'm pinching you."
Yeah. I hit
It
you in the
doesn't
side of the head with a brick, so you're worried about that pain. You didn't even feel the
you think
shot in
about
your
your
butt.
headache, come on. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
I love my parents, but oh, we have
Yeah.
so, alright, so you're going through, like, did you do multiple daily injections for a good amount of time, or did you do them until you were a certain age and you were like, "Screw this noise"?
Yeah, so let's see. My mom was in control of my diabetes and all of that stuff. So I don't remember a
Mhm.
lot of that
Right.
until I was 9. And
Mhm.
then when I was 9, she was like, "You know what? You're old enough, do it yourself."
It's time to
Um
learn.
and plus I had been bugging her about going and spending the night at my cousin's house, and
Right.
I was wanting to do things that other kids my age were doing.
Mhm.
And so she's like, if you want to do those things, one, you're going to have to learn how to do this, that, and the other. And then
Mhm.
2, you're going to have to be honest and trustworthy with those things.
Totally.
So
I mean, it's a lot to ask. Even at 9.
How long were you doing the manual injections and everything else before, or did you even move over to a pump or anything like that?
So
she has one of her earlier pumps.
What?
Yes, show it.
I miss it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that thing.
I know.
Yeah,
Isn't this so cute?
This is let's see. It says it was $8.99 is when it was manufactured.
Oh my god.
So this thing is freaking old.
Yeah, I think when I met Michelle, she had just got her first pump, and it was 2001. It was 2001.
And I don't know why I got the clipboard one, but I did. But no, okay. I had gotten diagnosed in 99. They wouldn't let me go on the pump for 2 years. You have to show us 2 years of good blood sugar. Really? But then I got the H-tron, and it was huge.
Yeah,
it was big. It was awesome. But I loved yours.
So you were, how old were you? 89, or I'm sorry, how old were you when you got that?
My doctor had been pushing for me to go on a pump when I was 11 because that same year I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. So the doctor's like, I think this is going to help with the depression and anxiety because it was actually from my diabetes that I got the depression and anxiety.
I was going to ask. I assumed the two were related, but I never want to fully assume something like that. But,
oh yeah, because when you assume things,
yeah, because I don't know why I would be so sad and depressed when I got to basically do all this math from the time I was 5 and then jab myself with needles every day and can't do anything that all the other kids my age. I don't understand why I'm not smiling all the time. Yeah.
Don't forget, you're still probably stabbing fingers back then too.
Lancets. Yeah.
Which are your favorites? My last 3 on each hand are my favorites. I'll use them before anyone else.
I'm trying to think, which one do I use the most? Let's see. It's probably my ring finger.
Yeah.
This one on this hand, this finger.
Nice,
it has the darkest and the most.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to take piano lessons. I could always tell when the kid before me had diabetes. I'm like, oh, really? We had to do Flight of the Bumblebee? I got to wipe them all down now?
You're so weird.
Oh my goodness.
So
do you miss Daniel? Do you?
I love Daniel.
I don't.
Yeah, Daniel's great.
He is so awesome.
So, what do you rock now? Like, what do you?
Oh, so right now. So I guess we can do a before and after. Ooh. So this
Medtronic?
is I've been with Medtronic since the beginning. I haven't gone anywhere else. Although I've wanted to.
Omnipod. if my insurance would cover it, I would go back on Omnipod so fast. Everybody's like, they look so bulky. I'm like, I wore it under my wedding dress, like under the bodice of my wedding dress.
Wow.
And nobody could tell. And it's not because I was fat. No, at that time it was a very low woohoo. And they couldn't tell that I had it on. And it was so beautiful. Oh, I loved it. But my insurance is like, no.
Most insurances are like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Medtronic is the one my insurance is like, okay, we'll work with them. But if I wanted Tandem or Dexcom, I would have to go through a third-party supplier. The third-party supplier told me that my insurance doesn't work with them.
Let me ask you guys something about that real quick, because not to get political, because then this becomes a whole different podcast for me. But
of course.
But I know that a couple of months back. Our president was saying, I've been already doing these things and people are already seeing savings in their medications, and especially with insulin, because now I get it as cheap as water. Cheap as water. And all that, when I'm driving and I'm listening to this.
Water costs you $400, then okay.
And it will only last you 8 to 10 days, depending on how bad your week is.
When I'm listening to this on the radio, I go, that's funny, because I do a podcast with diabetics every week. And most of our podcast up to this point has been talking about the expense of insulin and diabetic necessities.
It's ridiculous.
So when I see someone on Facebook go, yeah, I'm already saving, I'm like, really? Because I literally talked to 30 diabetics in the past 2 months and nobody's saving yet. You guys, so my question is, have you guys seen any reduction in the past 3 months of your insulin or any of your diabetic needs?
No.
No?
Personally, no.
I have not. But for the past 3 months, I haven't had to pay a dime because I met all of my wonderful, because I've been hospitalized so many times this year.
And I mean,
tell me more about that. So when you've met all your deductibles.
So yeah, so a lot of insurances work where you have a deductible, say $2,500. Mine's actually $4,500. But anyway, so $2,500 is your medical costs that you accumulate that. Then also, if your out of pocket costs meet a certain level, mine's like 85 something. So yeah. Now, I have a ridiculous plan.
What is it? I know I'm going to mess this up because I haven't worked in pharmaceutical supplies for close to 15 years now. But there was also a time in your insurance where you go into what's called the donut hole, right? Like basically you've paid your deductible, they started paying, but then towards the end of the year, isn't there like a certain amount where, we've paid this much, now you have to pay this much again?
No,
not that I know of.
Once you hit your deductible, you hit your deductible. But that's, I mean, diabetic, I would say they do pay out what they should pay out. But I'm sure somebody with like advanced cancer or what have you that they're paying at, that might apply to them. But I was going to say, I got my insurance with the Affordable Care Act. And I think it's like a $3,500 deductible for my family, or for me and my husband. And Jesus, our out of pockets only like $6,000. What the hell?
Yeah.
Is it? I guess it's hard because you don't really realize the different prices in different areas until you talk to somebody from that area. What?
Okay. Yeah. I just looked it up. So it refers to Medicare. Okay. And the donut hole is there's a temporary limit on when the drug plan will not cover your drugs anymore. So basically when you and your plan reach up to $4,020 on covered drugs, you hit that gap where until the new year starts over, you're paying a higher percentage. They're not covering.
They're going to be so fucked.
They're not paying. It's been something that's been around for years. Maybe some people don't know it because they don't hit that.
No, because type 1 diabetics haven't lived that long for this many years.
Yeah, because Medicare kicks in when you're 65?
65.
Right. And I think maybe that's it too. Like I understood that it was going to affect Medicare and seniors first, the pharmaceutical deductions. And that's why when people on Facebook were like, my son's already saving money. I'm like, no, your 20-year-old isn't saving money, because I would have heard about that right now. So
no, I don't believe that at all. But
regardless, though, I do hope whoever's elected, the first thing they do is take priority, get some of these prescription drug prices down, because they are ridiculous.
It is, and it's only getting worse. I mean, everything I think has gotten worse during this pandemic. The price of everything has gone up. But for people who get things through the mail and what have you, get their supplies like that, it's been especially hard. And now we're having to pay even more for what? I mean, to get up in the morning? Like, you all care about it that little that you're going to charge us so much money. Oh, and can I say,
they think all of us must shit gold or something.
Dude, right? I mean, at least if you're a diabetic, how could you not? Everything else.
Call me Rumpelstiltskin.
So, Lalay, you have 3 kids. Is that right?
Yes. A 9-year-old boy, a 6-year-old boy, and a 2-year-old little girl.
Oh, congrats.
She is taking a nap.
Ooh.
That is beautiful.
I made her stay up a little bit longer because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do something at this time. I need her to just
No, that is amazing. I was going to say, like, the fact that I don't hear any of them means you're either really good at gagging them and taping them to the walls, or you've got
I bribed
them
them
packed.
very, very well.
That's smart.
That's the deal.
That's so smart.
I think one of them has like my other cell phone and is playing Plants vs Zombies, and then the other one has control of the TV. So,
oh my gosh, so they're in heaven. That's great.
Of course,
that really,
what
really
kid
is.
would not be in heaven?
Whenever I do the thing where I limit, I think we all do. You try to limit the screen time, but sometimes it's just like, all right, I'm going to let you have screen time because I'm at my wit's end. I hate if we're out in a restaurant because I won't do the screen time for the kids unless the 6-year-old used to have some meltdowns. So I'd be like, fine, here's my phone. And I'm like, and understand, I'm doing that for the other people in the restaurant. I'm doing that so you guys can. So when an old person would throw me a look because my kid's on a phone, I'm like, I did that for your benefit. I'll let him scream all day. I was more concerned with you guys. Plus, I know you're jealous. I know you're looking at me because you didn't have Wi-Fi, you didn't have CDs, you didn't have electricity when you were raising children. It was hard, You guys just tried to make it across the water with all your buffalo and wagon wheels and stuff.
Think about the diabetics that didn't have pumps.
Right?
How must they feel about us?
We get a lot of people on this show. Some people do prefer the manual way. Some people do prefer the technology. But
I've gone back and forth, honestly, throughout since I started pumping. I went time on it, time without.
Right.
My very first CGM was in 2016.
So no problem with that.
And then, I went off of it for a while, and then my last pregnancy, they made me, or not they, but my endo wanted me to be on the CGM and the pump the whole time.
Right.
So that didn't help me much.
We've had a couple of people on the show recently dealing with being pregnant the first time or going through the second pregnancy. And for you, 3 kids, was being a diabetic something your doctors talked to you about before getting pregnant, like everything involved, but now by the third one you're like, I got this, or is every time just as tough as the first?
This is the very interesting thing. In 2006, I found out that I had polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Ouch.
So they told me that the damage that had done to all of my innards actually made it almost impossible for me to get pregnant, they said. They said I had less than a 10% chance of actually getting pregnant. Then that pregnancy being a successful pregnancy was even lower. So I basically was like, okay, I don't want kids. I had decided then, you know what?
You're good. You're done. It's finished. Yeah.
Yeah. I can be the aunt or, I didn't have any siblings. Or no, I did have my brother was 2 at the time.
Yeah. Okay. But,
sorry, it's just because my brother's so much younger. It's like when I think of my childhood, sometimes I forget that I did have a sibling later on.
Yeah,
understandable. Completely understandable.
There's 13 years between us, so
wow.
Yeah.
So
you're so young.
You were pretty set on not having kids. They told you it wasn't going to be likely because of the ovarian cysts and everything else.
Yeah, and then of course my diabetes control and stuff too.
Sure.
Then fast forward, let's see, to 2011.
Yep.
2010, and I had actually lost a lot. Well, not a lot of weight, but I had actually gotten where I was supposed to be. My BMI was in that nice range they want you in.
Oh, screw the BMI. Screw it.
But, I was actually proud of myself because that has always been a struggle.
Right.
Because at one point, they told me because of my insulin need, I was gaining weight. And because I was gaining weight, I was needing more insulin. So it was this vicious cycle. And so, when I was 11, I was having to wear women's size 14s.
Right.
Gotcha.
So, I was never fat. I was just always very thick.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's one of those things. I think it hits a lot of people with diabetes. Is like the weight gain, because it's how
oh
it
yeah, it
breaks
was.
down the glucose, whether your body stores it as fat or you use it as
And my body
energy.
gains weight just by looking at donuts. So
Oh my
So you got
god!
your BMI to a point you were proud at.
yeah,
Everything's going fine. You've
everything's
already decided
good.
no kids, and then
I was taking a break from college, enjoying my best life now, um, being a young girl.
Mhm,
Anyway,
A young debutante back in the day.
mhm,
and
mhm,
yeah, just totally loving life.
Yeah.
And then just one day out of nowhere, I'm like, I don't feel that great. I'm eating uncontrollable amounts. Like, what the hell is wrong with me?
Mhm.
I'm sleeping all the time. Like, I mean, I already slept a lot,
No,
mhm,
no,
but
but
it
that
was it was different. It was like this uncontrollable tired. I would just sit on the couch and fall asleep.
mhm.
Um,
Oh my
so
god! Now I'm starting to think maybe I'm pregnant because I do that like all the time.
No, but that was literally my first, like, oh my god, symptom. Is I came home after work, I sat down on my couch for a second, and I was out for like 3 hours. It
Mm.
was like, what the hell's wrong? So yeah, no, I get you for that. So
and
I
at the
mean,
time I lived with
yeah.
my Iranian father.
Which
Mm.
there's one thing I know about Iranian fathers. They're always so happy to find out their daughter is pregnant out of wedlock. It's every movie I've ever seen. They're like, "Oh boy!" They're so excited.
So yes.
Oh,
And
okay, so
of
that's
course,
great.
like,
Yeah.
I do the test, I find out, and for 5 minutes, the sentence that was coming out of my mouth was, you know, a lot of cussing.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
a
yeah.
lot, a lot.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of this.
Hmm.
Because a lot
And
of the doctors said it wouldn't happen. Yeah.
yeah, of course. And I like, because I was also living like I couldn't get pregnant. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like guys were like getting intimate with you. You're like, "There's no reason for that. I'm diabetic. Let's get to it." Yeah,
yeah,
I got
yeah,
you. I
basically.
got you.
And I was
He's like, "I drink a lot of mellow yellow." It
2021.
works out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was 2021. So there's that
Oh,
that point in your life
yeah.
where you really do not give a crap.
No.
Oh,
That's when I was
So
dating him.
well, that explains a lot then.
she meant don't give a crap about yourself, not don't give a crap about who you date. She also said it was the living the best time of her life period. If you were listening, I'm sorry. Back to you. She has a way of jumping in and making it all about her. Go ahead. So
Oh,
you find
anyway.
out you're pregnant. You're living at home with your
So
Iranian
yeah,
father.
so I of course go about the whole I'm gonna hide it. I'm going to, but that went on for I think 3, maybe 4 weeks. I was able
Mhm.
to hide it for about a month.
Mm,
But this one day, I took a shower. I was like getting dressed,
Mhm.
and I don't remember what happened after that.
oh.
I woke up a while later. I could
Mm,
not move my body except for my thumb.
Oh.
Luckily, I had fallen asleep with my phone in my hand.
mhm,
So and it was one of those old flip phones too.
Yeah.
So I was able to dial 911. I could not speak. I,
mhm,
you know, I was so scared. And anyway, luckily, like the fire department or whoever it was that showed up, they were able to get a key to the apartment and
Mhm.
come in. And unfortunately, I'm butt ass naked, and
I mean, exactly how you want to be when like 3 or 4 people are gonna come in to check on you. Yeah.
and they were all men,
yeah.
Of
and
course
they
they
were
were.
all, of course, like I wouldn't say around my age, but they were younger.
Mhm,
Yes.
So, but one of them like saw my nightgown sitting next to me and
Mhm.
mhm,
like quickly like helped me put it on because they saw that I couldn't move. And
yeah.
so, whoever that was out there, thank you so much for helping me keep my modesty a little.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, you can't control what happens or when it happens and what you're gonna look like when it happens.
Yeah, so I had gone low.
Mhm.
and I don't know exactly what happened. They don't know what happened. They just know that, I went low.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's when my dad had to find out that I was pregnant. Because, somebody
Take you
had
to
to
the
come
hospital.
somebody had to come pick me up from the hospital.
Uh-huh.
And so I had to call my dad and say, can you come pick me up? And he's like, well, where are you? Where's your car's? Because I lived with him. He's like, your car's here. Where are you? And I'm like, I'm in the hospital. And he's like, what? So,
Man.
and then he didn't talk to me for about 3 days.
Mhm.
So, that was a very fun environment to be in.
Yeah.
Because the way
First
that apartment
pregnancy,
was set up.
scared. I mean, yeah. No, I
Oh,
would think this
man.
would be the Taj Mahal.
Yeah. And the way that apartment was set up is the front door was right next to where he liked to sit and smoke his cigarettes. Because he refused to smoke his cigarettes anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so he would sit there by the front door at the kitchen table, just brooding over his coffee. And anyway, so when he finally talked to me, he said, well, you're going to marry the guy. And I laughed. I'm like, if you want me to go to jail for murder, okay.
Yeah. And that's why you're like, Dad, I've been living my best life. If you can pick him out of the lineup, we'll see what we can do.
The sad thing is I actually did know, but
it's one of those things.
He was one of those ones that said, oh, how do I know that I'm the father? You've been with so many men. I'm like,
because you're the only one I want to stab in your nether
I wrote
regions.
down every day on my freaking calendar that I went out with you. Whether or not we did anything, I put that I saw you. So, it's easy to figure out from there. Anyway.
No,
but
totally.
So then he's like, okay, well, if that's not going to happen, then if you're going to live with me, then you need to get an abortion.
Really?
And then, yeah. And so, I, of course, was like, but Dad, this is your grandchild. This is my child. This is, I was told I couldn't have children. What if this is my only chance? And he's like, well, you're a diabetic. You shouldn't be having children anyway. And you're ruining your life if you have children. And what was another thing that he said? Oh, no man will want you when you have someone else's kid.
So he was the second one that you should have stabbed in the nether regions. Like, I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I basically told him, I'm like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. And so I actually ended up sleeping in my car for a night.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was interesting.
Did he eventually come around, or?
Then he decided that he would help a little bit. I could not live with him, but he would help me out by giving me a little bit of money to put down payments for an apartment and the power to be put in my name, and because I didn't have any credit at the time,
right?
Yeah.
So I had to do a lot of putting money down on things to get started.
So this is the same guy that when you were diagnosed with diabetes took off, right? And then when he found out you're pregnant, he kicked you out. Seems like, and I don't know anyone, but once again, we've established I'm a genius. It seems like he's one of those guys that's when everything's going fine, it's fine. But as soon as crisis happens, which that's what life is, the good times are just the spaces in between crisis. He's like, I can't have you, like, to kick you out of the house, even though he's going to help you with bills elsewhere, almost seems like more financially a loss for him. But he's like, I don't want to see it every day.
Well, his thing that he said, and plus, this is in South Carolina again. So his thing is, what are people going to say? And my thing was, well, what are people going to say when they find out what you did to your diabetic daughter?
Yeah. That you kicked me out and I had to live out of my car.
The ultimatum that you gave me, and the way that you made me feel.
Now,
and
you were living with your dad. If I missed it, I'm sorry. did your mom pass away at some point, or?
No. So it was a big mess between them. It was, oh, she's getting on my nerves, take her. Oh, she's getting on my nerves, take her. Okay, when I was 12, me and my mom went through a thing. She had found her biological mother, and we moved in with the family, and it was a situation that we weren't prepared for.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
That's a huge life-changing event. Sure.
So, and I had never really been around a lot of things. So then we were put into a house. My aunt, who is only 6 years older than me, my aunt lived there with her friend who was 17 at the time. So you can imagine what was going on.
Yeah.
And my mom was 30 something at the time too. So basically, like, my biological grandma was like, here, move in with your little sister and make sure she doesn't like burn down the place, please.
Fun time.
Wow.
Be the mom here.
Yeah.
Please. And so of course my mom like had to work, and and so she wasn't aware of a lot of stuff that was going on because they waited for her to be gone to do stuff.
Right.
So anyway, me and the 17-year-old kept going back and forth, like fighting. And my mom was afraid that one of us was she was actually afraid I was going to get hurt since I was the smaller one.
Right.
Anyway, so she like convinced my dad to take me. And that went okay for about 6 months. And then like my dad gave me money to go to the mall to go buy stuff. I decided to go and buy makeup.
Ooh.
Which, so like within a week or two of that happening, I was at my mom's house again. And she was pregnant at the time with my brother.
Oh, wow. So
you bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
When you became pregnant, and you were living in South Carolina, where was your mom living, and were you very
in
forward
Arizona.
with? Okay, so did she find out pretty much immediately that you were pregnant?
Oh, of course. That was like the second person I called, actually. The first being the father, and then then my mom.
Then once you went through the issues with your dad, I was going to say, was coming out to Arizona to be with her an option, or not even at the table?
Well, she was pushing for it, but at the time I was like, that's going to be a lot of a lot.
Uprooting your whole life. Yeah.
And I had 2 jobs at the time.
Oh, wow.
So,
and you were going to need them both, obviously.
Yeah. And the way that I saw it is I needed to try my best to stick it out where I was, because I'm a firm believer in, you made your bed, or you made your bed, now you got to lay in it type deal. Yeah. Like, and that's the way I saw the whole pregnancy, is that, I was being an adult, making adult decisions. So now I needed to take adult responsibilities for the consequences.
You're a better person than me. I'm one of those, make your bed, don't like the way it works, check into a hotel for the night, so.
Burn it. Burn it all.
Burn it down. Burn it.
I don't know if it was and like, I say that, and I didn't take perfect care of myself all throughout my life. So, but I've always, like, when it came to being a parent, especially, like, I always felt like a strong conviction that you needed to be responsible for the things that you create.
Yes.
So,
100%.
Like, my views on abortion, I'm against them for myself, but I'm not necessarily going to tell you can't have one.
Right.
Because I feel like that's not my place. But my husband's completely opposite.
No, I get it. I'm pro-choice. For me, I can't imagine the circumstances where I would, but I am happy that I have that choice on whether, if I needed it or not. However, yes, some people are very, very, yes. So it's fun times. So did you find yourself taking better care of yourself when you were pregnant?
Yes. So, and I was actually on the pump at the time too. And after the pass out incident, got down to my best A1C ever, 6.1. So, but, he ended up being a preemie. He was born at 33 weeks.
Mhm.
So, but he was 6 pounds 9 ounces. So.
Oh,
that's awesome. That's how big my daughter was. 6 pounds 9 ounces.
Yeah.
And she was born at the full term though, and I was the size of a whale.
Oh man, that was my daughter. That was my daughter.
So during the pregnancy, though, dealing with the stress of 2 jobs, your dad, your mom away from you in Arizona, and of course being a diabetic, were you able to manage health wise? Okay.
No. I was in and out of the hospital all the time. You know, and it was not just, you know, overnight stays, it was days.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up losing my job. And then I had like, it was either pay my rent or use what money I had to drive my car as far as I could get. So my mom ended up convincing my grandma to give her some money, and she flew out. And then my dad ended up giving me some money. And so I ended up like having like a good $2,000 on me. Plus my uncle paid for my car to get fixed. And
nice.
So, you know, all this stuff happened, and we came out here and, you know, I had him and I've been here in Arizona since.
Yeah.
Then, let's see, in 2012, I met my husband, who was completely fine with me being a diabetic, completely fine with me having a child previously.
Take that, Dad.
Yeah.
Actually wanted, you know, to be, you know, what was it that my husband said? He said that he fell in love with my son before he fell in love with me.
That is so amazing.
Yeah, it is, because like, you know, when you have a kid, you want whoever you're involved with to love that kid. So, you know, knowing that, you know, he basically cared about the kid more than me was
trust. I got 2 boys. They're still waiting for someone to love them.
But yeah, so
you know, I feel like this is the first time we've talked to someone, and we got to wrap it up in a couple of minutes. I know there's things we always get to, but we only got through the story of like one of your kids. We got like 2 more kids stories to go. So we're definitely going to have to have you back.
Definitely do this again.
I would love that. We would love to have you on again.
We have a couple of things that Michelle. Well, I guess we already asked one. So Michelle, you want to just go ahead and ask your favorite question?
Well, I mean, my favorite question. You know what? Her and I have talked about this a lot in the comments or the Facebook Messenger. What's the crappiest advice somebody has given you to cure your diabetes?
Let's see.
We've had pumpkin seeds, cold showers,
sex with demons.
Not having sex with demons.
Not having sex with demons, because the sex with demons is how you got the diabetes.
Exactly, in your dreams.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's see.
Well, let's not overlook dreams if it wasn't for
sex and swallowing.
Wait. Back that up. Say it one more time.
So in this one group that I'm in, somebody made so this poor person had this older lady go, you know, you wouldn't have diabetes if you didn't have oral sex and swallow. Oh goodness. Oh my goodness.
That's one of the best. That is what you have.
We haven't heard that one yet. And I think we figured out how Michelle got her diabetes. Mystery solved.
You know what? Wait until Danny and I talk again. We are going to have a ball with that.
Danny's going to be like, she may have a point.
I love it. Oh my God.
Oh boy.
It has been so much fun having you on.
Yes.
You've done an amazing job. Like I said, just as a parent, keeping 3 children that young, all quiet. Like,
I don't know how I do it either.
You do an amazing job of it. So
be sure to tell your kids we appreciate them letting us borrow their mom for the night.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that.
That was
great.
I will.
Yeah. And like I said, so much. I feel like we just scratched the surface of your story. So I can't wait to get you back on. Michelle, anything you want to add before we get out of here for the night?
No, it's like I said, it's been great. We've loved having you. And to everybody watching, hit like, subscribe, and
Yeah,
blah,
and
blah, blah,
definitely
blah,
go
blah.
ahead, and if you're dealing with type 1 or type 2 and you're not part of the Dead Pancreas Society on Facebook, sign up. And I'm going to be hitting you up for the name of that other group because I can't wait to talk to this old lady a little bit more.
Oh my god.
The old lady was not in that group. It was just someone like sent a screenshot.
Reposted,
a screenshot of like some comment some older lady.
What?
But
she needs to have a Dear Ann.
Why do I feel like
on.
that's that woman's go-to for every ailment? Like, well, you wouldn't be unemployed if you weren't out there doing this all the time.
You have the throat cancer. It's because you swallow.
You got bad acne? Well, you weren't out there doing this all the time. Because that's how... Never mind. Okay. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Dying with Diabetes in America. We'd like to thank our guests for being... Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. And say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.
Just like that. All right.